I got about a 50% chance of it raining a little bit today, and then I got a 70% chance of it raining tomorrow, and then I got an over 90% chance of it raining on Monday. And so things are going good. The grass should be coming in. And I'm just gonna, I always say there are no guarantees, but I would say that the chances of the grass coming in are borderline 100%. And so things are going good. Granted that it rains, right? I mean, the ground is still very dry. When I first planted my grass, I actually spoke about this before I planted it. And I was saying that I'm looking for several days of rain in a row. And I said I anticipate that it's going to rain 3 or 4 days over the next 7 or 8 days. And that's why I planted my grass. And also the weather, the temperature was this, and et cetera, et cetera. So I anticipate that it's going to rain. It's supposed to rain. Well, I'm not going to say it's supposed to. There's an over 90% chance of it raining over the next 2 days. And there's a 50% chance of it raining today as well. And so to start off this video, I wanted to ask a question to get y'all, I guess, going on the right path. So when you take a look at what I'm doing, you see my assets, you see what I do. When you appraise it, what do you think my assets are worth? All right, this is, because I always say you have to learn how to conceptualize money. You have to understand how to look at the money. The money is a real thing. It's not a figment of your imagination. All right, it's not some la la land adventure. The money is a number. At the end of the day, it is a number. All right, it's a number. What is that number? All right, and just think about it. Okay, take a minute, think about it. Pause the video if you have to. I've already spoken about this. But it's like when you see the totality of my assets, you've already seen my assets, you've seen my business. You know that I'm net positive in the cash flow, etc., etc. I'll post a picture of my check, and I wanted to talk about my check today too. And when I really take a look at what I got going on, according to the bank, not according to me, but according to the bank and the accountant, it's going to be about $2 million. All right. And so, I got about $2 million under assets, or $2 million under management. And maybe I produce, in terms of a gross, maybe I do about 16% in just cash. And then it's like I also retain equity in my property. And I also, over the long term, I would anticipate that my property value goes up to, et cetera, et cetera, okay? But in the long term, in the long story short, when you take a look at what I'm doing, you see my business, you see my assets, my land, my tractor, my cattle, everything except everything, et cetera, my business. The monetary value of the things that I got is about $2 million, maybe a little bit more. All right, you have to learn how to conceptualize money. You don't want to be sitting there going, and you have no idea what you're looking at. All right, you don't want to be sitting there in a situation where you legitimately have zero idea what you're looking at, or even worse, you're going off in the wrong way. All right, like if you took a look at what I was doing and said, oh my God, this is only worth $500,000, I would legitimately kick you into a hole. All right, I mean, don't be an idiot. All right, I've already said that if you come off as an idiot, it's probably, it's not good. All right, so really sit there and think about it for a minute. Start using your brain. All right, like when you take a look at it, you see my business, you see my land, you see my tractor, you see my assets. What do you think they're worth? Appraise it. Legitimately appraise it, okay? Think about it. Think about it long and hard. Pause the video, and it's about $2 million. And I actually think, I was thinking about this, and, I'm probably net positive, $7,000 a month in terms of just straight cash. I also have my assets. I've talked about the different types of money, how do you utilize different types of money, et cetera, et cetera. You don't make money via straight cash. I would highly suggest that you not make money via straight cash. It's like the hardest, most unrealistic thing that you can do. It's not realistic. It's not even that important. Cash is very important, but it's very important to the degree that you just have enough of it. But realistically, you want assets, okay? You want good assets. That's from my perspective, okay? And at the end of the day, it just is what it is, right? And I was actually gonna talk about this today too. I wanted to talk about my check, but I wanted to talk about this today too. But I'm not gonna make $5 million my goal, because that is kind of a pathetic goal. Because if you really think about it, for me to generate $5 million, it's kind of humid and cool out here. It's got my allergies going. But if I was looking to generate $5 million, I would only have to do what I'm doing 2.5 times over. That's not a good goal, right? I mean, that's too easy. I can do this. I can double what I'm doing even right now if I felt like it. Like if I didn't dump my money into my new property, I would not, I would legitimately be sitting on a 10.5 acre field with like 100 cattle. And I remember before I, honest to God, I actually said this. But before I actually bought my new property, I was actually sitting there looking at my numbers, and I was like, at the rate that things are going, I will legitimately be stuck in a situation where I have borderline 250 cattle on a 10.5 acre field. God knows I said it. I legitimately said that. I legitimately said, at the rate that things are going, if I don't buy myself a new property, I'm going to have to sit on a 10.5 acre field with like 250 cattle. I actually said that. All right, and I didn't want to be in that situation. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to go and tie this property up in an option contract because I was taking a look at the quality of my assets. I was taking a look at my assets. I was appraising my assets, and I said my assets are worth this. If I feed them this, I give them this diet, and I feed them this amount, and I anticipate they're going to put on about this much weight every month. Right, and if I take that weight that they are gaining, and I utilize that whatever across that number across the entirety of my herd, when I take a look at my herd and I take a look at the animals that I got, I'm going to utilize this appraisal method. And when I utilize this appraisal method, then this is how much I anticipate the animals are going to be worth. Right, I legitimately said that before I even got started. God knows I did. All right, and that's all called due diligence. You need to really be making sure that you're actually thinking about what you're doing, because life is not a mystical, magical adventure. The world is not Disneyland. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, if you're going to go and be poor, I've always said, if you're going to be poor, if you're going to be an idiot, then go and be a poor idiot by yourself. All right, you don't want to be dragging other people into being poor with you. All right, and at the end of the day, success is a one-man journey. All right, there is no dragging other people into being successful. If you suck, you suck. All right, you don't want to be somebody who sucks. All right, I mean, it's just not, you are legit, if you are born with 100 IQ, you are effectively born with enough intelligence to learn how to do anything. All right, you don't want to learn to become an idiot. All right, you don't. I mean, I guarantee there's no benefit to it. All right, and so and when I go through these things, it's like if you actually take a look at my numbers and look at the overall economy, I am one of the most financially successful people in all of 2024. In 2025, I'm going to do even better, drastically better, exponentially better. All right, and I'm talking about making money. This is actually how you make money. All right, I'm giving it to the world for free, because why not? I mean, at the end of the day, if I want to make money, I can just run cattle. And if I run cattle, I effectively make so much money, I can do anything that I want. Effectively anything, short of like drugs, alcohol, gambling. All right, and short of anything like that, I can effectively do anything. If I want to go and buy 200 more cattle, and I want to buy myself a 50-acre piece of land, then I can do that in 6 months. Right, like what I got going on right now, there's a reason why I tied my property up on a 6-month option. I even spoke about that before I did it. Right, I mean, I could buy this piece of land and I can, buy the cattle, but the fastest that I could do it is in 6 months. Really, I asked for a year, they didn't give me a year, and the fastest I could do it was 6 months, and so we settled on 6 months. God knows I said it. I said that before I even got started, before I even got the option contract. There's a reason why I got the 6-month option contract. Right, I mean, and so, it's called due diligence. You're really gonna have to sit there and take a look at it. I've always said that farming, and this is not just, farming in terms of me as a farmer, farming is not just running cattle. It's not just being, pretty, right? I mean, it doesn't matter, if you want to be a circus show. All right, if you want to be a clown, a rodeo clown, if that's what you want, and then it's not going to get you anywhere. All right, if you actually want to learn how to farm, you're going to have to learn how to run cattle. Granted that you actually want to be a cattleman, you're going to have to learn how to run cattle. You're going to have to learn how to grow crops, and you're also going to have to learn how to run a business. All right, you're going to have to learn. It doesn't matter what you think. If you don't know how to do all three of these things, then it's just not worth your time. You might as well go and do something else. All right, you might as well go and get yourself a nice job with good benefits. Go and do something else, but do not become a cattle farmer. I mean, you will legitimately, it just won't be worth your time. All right, and most of you, when you're watching me, you don't even understand that, you know, like, you probably do not understand that it does not matter what you do. You're effectively going to suck so badly that you're not even going to get to the 10% mark. And if we utilize money as a gauge, because I've always said that the thing about money is that the money's the same thing for me as it is for anybody else. It is just as hard for me to generate $2 million in a year as it is for anybody else. It is just as hard for me to generate $10 million in a year as it is for anybody else. All right, this is my 15th year working on this thing. And I've worked 15 hours a day every single day of the week, even holidays. All right. And so, you know, it's like, it's just as hard for me to generate $2 million as it is for anybody else. It is just as hard for me to generate $10 million as it is for anybody else. It's just as hard. I don't know how else to put that for you. And if you want to think about this, it doesn't matter what you do. You effectively suck so bad and you're doing so poorly on a regular basis that you're not even going to get to the 10% mark. It doesn't matter what you do. All right, you could go into business, you could go into whatever. You're not even going to generate $1 million a year. You're not even going to generate $500,000 a year. I guarantee it. I would actually bet money. Most people are not. All right, and it's like if 99.99999% of the population of USA could do it, they would be doing it. The reason they don't do it is because they are, you know, a majority of people are a massive pile of problems. All right, you're gonna understand when you actually see that. It's gonna be like, oh God, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, who wouldn't? You know, it's like if you could, if anybody, it doesn't matter if you could generate $10 million, you would go and do it. Me, the reason that I'm doing it is because I can do it. All right, I fell out of heaven to 7 in my life's a mystical, magical journey, right? I'm going to throw a Hail Mary into the middle of nowhere. For me to make 10 million, for me to generate $10 million, I just do what I do and I do it 5 times over. That's it. All right, it's not like, oh my God, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary into the middle of nowhere. I'm going to go and learn to become the best basketball player on the entire planet. And then, you know, I'm going to go on a mystical, magical adventure. And when it works out for me in a spectacular fashion, then I will have $10 million. That's not how it works. All right, for me to generate $10 million, I would just do what I'm doing 5 times over. That's it. All right, that's it. It's that simple. There is, you know, I've always said, don't turn your life into a life and death battle over nonsense. Don't turn your life into a life and death battle over nothing. All right, you know, I was like, you know, and I thought about this, and I really thought about this, and I wanted to say this because, you know, this is like I feel like it's the most sincerely beneficial thing that I could say to most people. And I've always said, don't give up hope. All right. You should always have hope. And you should understand that financially, in terms of money, if you manage to even do 10% of what I did in terms of money, you would effectively, if you just did it for 4 or 5 years, you would effectively have so much money that you could do anything that you wanted. Anything. And I've talked about, okay, well, I'll go over it again. And think about this in terms of the 10% perspective. Me, I'm going to go and I'm going to generate myself $10 million over the next 365 days. I've already talked about what is the major reason why I generate such a massive amount of money. All right, in terms of my reality, and I've always said you cannot pick and choose the things that you want to do. You have to understand that when you're watching me farm, you may legitimately be watching the most successful farmer on the entire planet. You probably do not even understand that. You probably don't. And I talk about money in terms of a broader reality because it's like, you know, it's not just farming. You can do this anywhere. And I did not learn how to run my business by watching farmers. All right, I didn't. I learned how to run my business by watching people who were good at business, people in the stock market, people in the commercial real estate business acquisition. You know, these are the people that I watched to learn how to run my business. All right, I did not learn how to run my business by watching farmers. And so I talk about things in terms of a broader reality. All right, in terms of a broader reality, what I'm looking at are assets. You need tax deductible assets. Anything, it could be anything. All right, you could purchase and I always talk about rental property, because if we use rental property as an example, and I've already talked about the different ways that you can accumulate money through any asset, as long, and you know, it's like when you're looking at an asset, you should not be purchasing a damaged asset. You never want to purchase a damaged asset. I've always said, don't turn your life into a life and death battle over nothing. It's legitimately this. It's legitimately this is it. All right. You don't. There is no. Oh my God. But what if everything's impossible and and I fell out of heaven to seven and the world is hard because I suck. All right. You don't want to be that person. All right. You find a deal. It's equitable. What does equitable mean? When you have something that is equitable, it's not money, but it is deemed to be worth this much money by a professional who knows what they're doing. That's what equitable means. You have something that is equitable. What does equitable mean? You have something that is worth a financial amount, but it is not money. It is worth a monetary amount, but it is not money. And it is determined to be worth that much money by somebody who actually knows what they're doing. You don't ask Billy Joe Bob what your farm is worth. You don't ask yourself what your farm is worth. You don't ask Billy Joe Bob what your business is worth. You don't ask, you don't ask yourself what your business is worth. You ask somebody who's a professional. Usually these people work at banks. If you go into a bank right now and you just say, hey, I found this deal, I found this equitable, whatever, it's a business or it's a piece of rental property, it's worth this much, and I want to purchase it. I want to talk to your banker about purchasing it. They will lead you to the person and they will take a look at your deal for you. They will take a look at it for you, okay? And then they will tell you, and then when and I've already said the big idea of when you speak to a banker, what's the big idea, right? You always say what? The thing is already making money. All right, and I used farming as an example, but imagine that you have somebody, imagine that you, me, 999 other people, and me walked into a bank, and one of us was going to get a loan to start a farm. Who do you think is going to get the loan? Probably me. All right, probably me. All right, because it's just let's just and so me, I'm giving away my information for free. All right, and think about it. Okay, so when you go into the bank, what do you always say? The asset is already making money, and you're looking for an asset that is already making money. Because if it is not already making money, then you could potentially be throwing a Hail Mary into the middle of nowhere for no reason. And the banker is going to take a look at it like that. It's like, why would I, it's like, imagine being a banker and you walk into a bank and you say, hey, banker, I want a loan for $750,000. I want a loan for $1 million. And they take a look at you and they say, why do you want a loan for $1 million? And you say, because I want to go on a mystical, magical adventure. I have this wonderful idea and it's going to be a fairyland, Disneyland for me. And when it works out for me and all of my buddy pals, we're all going to go skipping off into the sunset together. And it's going to be a mystical, magical journey. The banker is not going to want to touch your deal with a 50,000-foot pole. But if you walk into the bank and you say, hey, banker, I found this property. It's worth $1 million and it's already cash flowing $7,000 a month, right? 7%. It's already cash flow, or 8% or whatever, whatever that is, 8.4%. It's, it's worth $1 million. I really want to go and negotiate the contract. And I just wanted to show you the contract before I got started to see if you would even be interested in funding the deal. All right. It's being listed at $1 million. It's being listed at $1 million and it already makes $7,000 a month. Will you take a look at my deal? Sure, we'll take a look at it. All right, because why? Because the thing is already making money. All right, because it's like if the banker is going to fund your deal and it's not making money, you might just be an idiot. You might legitimately be trying to borrow money because you're an idiot. Your idea is horrible. Nobody cares what you think. You borderline are homeless. You completely suck. I don't know if you understand that, no, I'm not going to lend you money. All right, but if you go up to the bank and you show them your deal and you say, this deal is already making money, will you finance it for me? Well, then let's take a look at it. All right, because at least, and why would they do that? Because if it's already making money, you can pay the bank back with the money that the asset is producing. And let's use the rental property as an example, right? I've already used, I talk about business acquisition as an example too. What is the equitable value of a business? How do you, whatever, right? I've already talked, but I like to use rental property because rental property is very simple. You know, I've said, and it's not very simple. I mean, it's still got very, very, very large margin. And I've always said that, you know, at the end of the day, the greatest risk to any business is the owner of the business. Because if you have the, if you're, you know, the owner of a business, and, you know, and it doesn't matter how good the business is, if you're an idiot, then you're just going to bankrupt yourself all the time. It doesn't matter. You could effectively, you know, it doesn't matter. All right, there are plenty of people who have money that essentially are just idiots, and then they lose everything. All right, it happens all the time. All right, and so and when I talk about this, I actually say, you know, in terms of, you know, like when I give my perspective, and I'm not saying this to make myself feel better, but it's like when I take a look at the overall U.S. economy, it's like there are, you know, 30,000 people in the entire U.S. economy that generated it, that made as much money as me in 2024. But in reality, if you took a look at it, about half of them would be idiots. Right, and I've used a lot of examples. You know, it's like there are plenty of people that it's like, you know, one day they finally make it. Oh my God, I made $2 million, and then, you know, they just go and they just YOLO and then lose it all, and you never remember these people. You won't even remember their name in 3 years. All right, I'm gonna go and get myself a Lamborghini. I'm gonna go and get myself a mansion, a small mansion. I'm gonna go and get myself a whatever, right? 5 girlfriends, and in 3 years you don't even remember these people. There are plenty of people that's what happens to them. And I actually, you know, and it's like, you should not be that person. All right, I would highly suggest that you not end up like that person. Me, you know, I'm just, you know, honest to God. I mean, I'm not saying this because you know, whatever. I'm just saying it because it's just honesty. Me, you know, I generated a massive amount of money, and then I sat there and I sat here and I really thought about what I was gonna do. I didn't go and I didn't go and buy myself a Corvette. I didn't go into whatever, YOLO my money. All right, you know, I was like, you know, I still have an investment funnel, you know, and all of these things. And, you know, God knows it, I know it, and my mama probably knows it. But even before I tied up my property under an option contract, I legitimately said at one point that if I'm not, you know, if I don't figure something out, I'm legitimately going to be sitting on a 10.5 acre field with 250 cattle, or I'm going to end up owing a boatload of money in taxes. I legitimately said that. And that's why I got the option contract on my property. And the reason that I got the option contract on my property, the reason I went that route with the option contract was because I took a look at my assets. I determined, you know, this is the appraisal value of my assets as of right now. And this is what I believe my assets will be worth in the future due to these reasons. And the reasons are objectively correct. They are not some mystical, magical adventure, you know, whatever, right? I believe my animals are going to put on this much weight. I have these type of animals. I appraise them at this amount over the larger herd. And, you know, and if I feed them this diet and I feed them this amount and I take a look at the commodity markets, I'm actually making a net positive on any amount of feed that I give my animals. I did all of this, right? I legitimately did all of this. God knows it. I know it. My mama probably knows it. You know, and if you want, and if you don't believe me, then keep your BS to yourself, all right? Because I legitimately sat out here and I did this legitimately every single day. All right, and I told you exactly what I was doing, and at the end of the day, it just is what it is. I mean, in terms of perspective, it's like if you know, and I've always said that you should learn how to, you know, how to determine how much money's involved. If you take a look at what I'm doing, how much money do you think is involved? All right, don't be an idiot. All right, how much money do you think is involved? All right, it's about $2 million. All right, according to the bank, not according to Billy Joe Bob, not according to me. All right, I have about $2 million in assets, maybe a little bit more, about $2.25 million in assets under management. That's how much money essentially I am, you know, utilizing to make my returns. And how did I generate that money? A majority of my money was generated from me being able to start a business. A majority of my equity was generated essentially by me being able to be such a good farmer. I'm so good at farming that I'm able to just generate millions of dollars by myself. And at the end of the day, and I was talking about this, but you know, at the end of the day, I may have a massive net worth. My net worth may be very high because of my niche, right? This is like my specific, you know, unique skill set in terms of, you know, because some people, they're really good at, you know, and I've actually talked about this, and I was like, you know, I actually see that, if I'm going to go past whatever, $100 million, if I'm going to go past $500 million, I will probably need to put people on my team. And, you know, realistically, I want to be more in a situation where, well, I'm definitely not going to put idiots on my team, right? I mean, I would find the most capable individuals, and it's like I would effectively, and I know that this is going to sound horrible, but I would love to find people like me. All right, you have nothing to offer me. All right, I have nothing to offer you. But we should just work together, because if we work together, we're going to do drastically better together. Drastically better. I mean, you can run 5,000 cattle on your own. Me, I could probably run about, whatever it may be, right? It's like, if it's in a situation where it's like, would I put an idiot on my, no, I would not want to be on a team with an idiot. Who would want to be on a team with an idiot? All right, I mean, and I've already talked about this, but if you put 50 idiots in a room, you don't have some Power Ranger Megazord, they're all effectively just going to self-sabotage and destroy each other into infinity and beyond. I guarantee it. I mean, it's not going to be like, oh my God, now that we got 50 idiots, we can go and do something incredible. That's not how it works. You want to find the most capable people that you can find. And I was actually thinking about this, and in reality, it's like, if you actually want to become somebody who is rich, like legitimately, like, it's like me, I effectively make so much money that I can do anything that I want. Even if I lost everything tomorrow, even if I lost everything right this moment, I would generate more than $1 million in the next 12 months by myself. All right, and so, and it's like, it's like, if you legitimately want to be in a situation like this, you're granted that you are born with 100 IQ. If you are born with 100 IQ, your chances and everything else is effectively whatever your average. Your chances go up drastically if you actually surround yourself with rich people. All right, if you surround yourself with rich people, you drastically improve your chances. And the thing, okay, and I talked about this in terms of wealth disparity, but if you actually take a look at my numbers for what they are, and you take a look at the overall broader U.S. economy, there's only 20,000, 30,000 people in the entire 333.4 million people that can make money like me. In the entire country. And I was talking about this even in this video, but if there's 30,000 people in the entire country that can generate money like me, and half of them are idiots, then we're effectively talking about 15,000 people. And that's one of my biggest things. And it's like, but here's the thing, it's like, me, I actually know people. Me, in terms of me living my life, I actually know multiple people who will write $1 million checks every week of the year. If you give them a good reason to do it, they will do it. And I talked about this in terms of, in terms of being around rich people. And it's like, why do you want to, be around rich people? And it's because of the ideas of wealth disparity. It's like, if you, and I talked about this, and I'm not saying this to, whatever. I'm actually saying this because this is how I made money, right? I didn't just go, you know what? I fell out of heaven a 7. It turns out that I was born mystical, magical, and I should be accepted for the way that I am. And I'm just going to go and make a, and my idea, the ideas that I was born with are fantastic. That was not me. Right? I mean, I went to the sale barn. I took a look around. I went to places where people were doing business. I took a look around, and I found out, and I was buying and selling, a few cattle here and there. And I was taking a look at the type of animals that I was selling and the type of animals that I was buying. And I was collecting information. And while I was doing that, and I was in a place of doing business, I was taking a look around. And I was like, you know what? These people are buying these type of cattle. And I legitimately, one time I watched a guy buy like 33% of all of the cattle in the entire sale barn by himself. I legitimately, at one point in time, I watched the guy legitimately just buy everything, almost everything by himself from the entire sale barn. All right, and then when I saw that guy, I was like, this is the richest man in the room. I can tell that this man has money. I can tell. All right, and and it's like, he bought like a quarter of all of the animals in the entire sale by himself. All right, and so, and it's like me, I didn't just go, oh my God, me, I'm just going to do whatever the heck I want, and I'm going to be accepted for who I am because I'm a unicorn, fairy tale adventure, magical land, Disneyland, and that wasn't me. All right, I took a look around. I figured out this is where the money's at. I was buying and selling a certain type of cattle, making money doing, selling certain types of cattle. When I sold these types of cattle, then I would make at least all my money back, if not make a small profit. And I collected that information. I went out and I did some research. I took a look around and, and I found out all this information, number 1 to 1.5 type medium large frame animals. you know, the animal diet, the antibiotics, the you know, everything. And I was legitimately working like 18 hours a day. I was sleeping so little that the doctor thought I had sleep apnea. And this, you know, when he tested my blood, he legitimately thought that you know, he thought that I was having sleep apnea because some something was off in my blood. And he said that only happens if you have a drastic low amount of sleep. And so, you know, and me, I didn't just go out into the world and go, oh my God, you know, and, you know, but I actually took a look around and I figured out this is the type of cattle that I need to run to make money. All right, if I raise them to this standard, then I can make money. All right, and, you know, and if you don't want to learn how to do things, then, I mean, go and be poor by yourself. All right, I've always said, you know, the best thing you can do as a poor person is be poor by yourself. Because in a realistic situation, what you have are poor people that are turning other people poor. And now you got 50 idiots in a room, and they've all just convinced themselves that for whatever reason, now that we have 50 idiots in a room, we have some megazord. And, you know, and now that there are 50 of us, now we're some, you know, we're all in this together. Wrong. All right, I mean, you're gonna, you know, success is a one-man journey. If you do not be, you know, success is a one-person journey. You can be a woman too, it doesn't matter. Success is a one-person journey. All right, you're going to have to make it yourself. If somebody else makes it, then that person made it and you made it, then you both made it. All right, there is no, we're going to be a group of success, you know, there is no, we're all going to, you know, effectively, you know, all be successful together. It doesn't happen. I haven't seen, you know, it just doesn't happen. All right, if you're a successful individual and you meet another successful individual, then you're both successful individuals. All right, you're both successful individuals. You have to make it on your own. All right, and you know that's going to be hard, you know, for most people, you know, and for me, it's like if I actually take a look at what I'm doing, and I know that this is going to sound, you know, horrible, but you know, me legitimately, I had $100,000 in an account, and I completely forgot that I even had the money. Most people, if you have $20,000 in your account, you will legitimately, like, a borderline, you know, defecate yourself and immediately go running out to implode. Oh my God, I've got 20, you know, I had $100,000 in an account, and I completely forgot that I even had the account. All right, and so it you know, it doesn't, you know, I don't know what else to tell you. All right, and, you know, in terms of a reality situation, me, you know, if I'm gonna actually take a look at it for what it is, maybe there are 15,000 people in the entire country that can make money like me. 15,000. And imagine being in a room with 333.4 million people, and you have to selectively choose 15,000 people who are going to be, who are, you know, essentially in the top ends of the U.S. economy. Are you going to be able to find these people? You're probably not. The only way you would really find these people is if you had an honest-to-God conversation with each individual. And this is the big problem. I actually call this the 100-man analogy. Most people, it's like, you know, you meet 99 people and you have an honest, you know, whatever, you have a conversation with 99 people, and all 99 people are effectively failing in the exact same way. I talk about this in terms of the Costco people, right? Everybody is effectively failing the exact same way. And they all tell you the same thing, right? And now you're in a situation where you've heard it from 99 people, and you've heard it 99 times. From 99 different people. By the time you find somebody like me, it's already too late. You're already permanently damaged. Permanently. I mean, I'm not saying, and this is what I'm saying, but you should surround yourself, and I'm not saying with just me. I mean, you know, no, don't just go and just listen to me. I mean, don't do that. I mean, go and find as many rich people, legitimately rich people that you think are okay, and then surround yourself with rich people, because that's the thing about YouTube, is that you can listen to whoever you want, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can listen to whoever you want. You can go on whoever's channel you want. You might as well just surround yourself with rich people. Why not? I mean, because rich people, I've already talked, everybody's a bad person. You know, don't play yourself, right? Because, and I've already talked about this, but it's like, imagine that you have somebody who's killed 5 people, right? Think about it like this. Imagine that you have somebody who's killed 5 people. All right, you have somebody who's killed 5 people, but this person is very skinny. And you have a fat person who has not killed anybody, but they've essentially killed 100,000 more chickens than the skinny person, right? then, I mean, you have a fat person who killed 100,000 more chickens than the skinny person who killed 5 people. I mean, everybody's nobody's a good person, all right? It's more important that you just find your peace with God. I mean, you should, be in a situation where you are constantly looking to, find your peace with God above anything else. So, all right, that's just my belief. That's what I believe, right? I mean, it's more important that you do right by God, because if you don't do right by God, nothing's going to work out anyway. All right, selling your soul to the devil at the very beginning, it sounds like a good idea, but it never works. 0% success rate, all right? If you sell your soul to the devil, it's a 0% success rate. You might think that it's a good idea at the very beginning, and that's how you get tempted into doing it, but it never works. All right, and so, and it's like, if you actually want to learn how to make money, if you actually want to be financially successful, you should surround yourself with rich people. That's going to be one of the most important things that you could ever do. All right, find rich people that you think are just kind of okay. Like, this is not a horrible person. This is not this is not like somebody who's manufacturing drugs and kidnapping people and making money doing that, right? I mean, they're not, selling their soul to the devil on a regular basis to make money. They're just kind of an okay person. They're kind of okay, and, we're just, and just surround yourself with people like that. And if you surround yourself with rich people, your chances of becoming successful go up drastically. And granted that you are born with 100 IQ. But I can already, most of the time the damage has already been done. All right, and I use the 100-man analogy. If you've heard from 99 different people, and they're all failing the exact same way, right? They're all failing in the exact same fashion. And you ask them, and you hear it 99 different times from 99 different people. By the time you hit the 100th person, you're already damaged. It's practically permanent. All right, and so like me, and I'm just gonna, give, my honest perspective. It's like, in reality, if you really want to go and generate about $500,000 a year, and you want to do it via rental property, you're really only at risk for $1,000 for $1,500 a month. That is the biggest risk that granted that you are not an idiot, right? Granted that you actually follow the steps, right? Granted that you actually do not buy a damaged asset. You do not ever buy damaged assets. All right, do not ever buy a damaged asset. There is no saving the asset. There is no reason to get a discount for a damaged asset. Just go and buy yourself a good asset. Because why? At the end of the day, the price of the asset is not relevant. The money is always the easy part. All right, and let's say you take a loan for $500,000, and for that $500,000 loan, you pay whatever, $4,000 a month. You pay $5,000 a month. If you pay $5,000 a month, and the asset returns you $6,000 a month, well, then you're making a net positive of $1,000 a month on your money, and you're also storing equity in your investment every time you make a payment. All right, these are all different ways that you can generate money. All right, and I've already said, like, if you have a property that's returning you a 7% net positive cash flow, and then you take a look at it and you anticipate that you got a 2% appreciation on it, you anticipate that you're going to appreciate the property by 2% a year by your various means, whatever, maybe property values go up, maybe you raise your rents, whatever it is, you're going to appreciate your property by 2% a year. You're already at 9%. All right, and then if you take a look at the tax deductions, right, what are some tax deductions that you will get? And if you want to know exactly, it's like if you want to know, how much of a difference tax deductions will get you, then take a look at your tax returns. All right, take a look at your tax returns and then figure out how much did you have to pay in income tax. All right, and it's like you could actually save that money. You could actually save a large portion of that money if you make investments. All right, so take a look at your tax returns. See how much you have to pay for your income tax, and then run your numbers. All right, and I've already talked about tax deductions. What are some tax deductions that you will get from something like a property, from like a rental property, right? You will get tax deductions on the interest of the loan, the property tax, any expenses that you had for running the property, right? And and depreciation of the building. All right, granted that your building is under a certain number of years old. All right, and I was talking about this, and it's like, then boom, congratulations, you're borderline at like 12% already. You're at like a 12% net positive return on your equity already. All right, I mean, and then if you can hit 14%, then you're effectively good to go, and you just do it 4 or 5 times. You effectively have so much money that you can do anything that you want. Anything, all right? You can effectively do anything that you want. All right, I mean, you know, and if you're going to do this, make sure you don't act like an idiot. All right, because if you act like an idiot and then you go on, then you completely flop on your deal, then you're screwed forever. Nobody's going to save you. You know, if you died tomorrow, nobody would care. All right, so, you know, make sure your deal does not flop. All right, don't be an idiot. All right, and if you do that 4 or 5 times, you're effectively good to go forever. You will effectively make so much money that you can do anything that you want. Anything. All right, and realistically, you're at risk for about $1,000 a month. You're realistically at risk for about $1,500 a month. It doesn't matter what the other people say. Go and find people who actually do it. Right, here is a person who is incredibly successful. I have never seen anybody do this well before in my entire life. I'm going to go and see what he's doing. All right, that's how you want to be. You want to find people who are very successful. If you surround yourself with idiots, it does not mean that you have some megazord. You just have a bunch of idiots in a room together. All right, and I talked about this in terms of a monetary thing, but it's like I may, you know, sometimes I will walk into a room. Like, I could walk into a Walmart right now, and if you grabbed 100 people out of that Walmart, I would actually make more money than all 100 people combined. All right, and it's like, you know, there's a reason why I generate such a massive amount of money. All right, and, you know, I'm giving away the information for free. I'm legitimately giving you the best information that I can. Sincerely giving you the best information that I can. All right, it's like when you buy an asset, you know, you probably should be looking into buying assets that give you tax deductions. And if you purchase assets that give you tax deductions and give you a positive return, and you hold on to those assets and you don't be an idiot for, you know, 4 or 5 years, and you do that a couple of times, you effectively start making so much money that you can do whatever you want. If you want to, you know, if you need money for something, then this is, you know, this is the type of capital that I use. If I want working capital for cattle, this is the type of capital that I use. This is how I get that capital. Whatever it may be. All right, and this is exactly how I did it. And it made me millions of dollars. I will generate over $10 million in the next 365 days. All right, my goal was $5 million, but I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, that's kind of just not good, because if I wanted to make $5 million, you know, if I wanted to generate $5 million, I would just have to do what I'm doing 2 times. If I just doubled it, I would generate $5 million. And so I'm like, it's kind of a waste of time. I'm going to go and I'm going to generate myself $10 million. I'm going to do $10 million in the next 365 days. All right, and I can show you how I do it. And all these different things I got going on, and I've been talking about in this video. God knows I said it, and, you know, and I legitimately, and it was due diligence, and, you know, and et cetera, all right. These things did not just magically happen for me. I legitimately worked 7 days a week, and I worked 15 hours a day. All right, and it's like, when I talk about these things, if you're going to sit there and you're legitimately going to be a poor idiot, then go and be a poor idiot by yourself. That's the biggest, you know, that is one of the best things you can do for the world, other than you can actually turn yourself around. If you turn yourself around, then that is better than dying by yourself. All right, if you're legitimately poor and you're an idiot, the best thing that you can do is turn yourself around. You know, you don't have to be poor. You know, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be poor. There is no benefit to being poor. It's not like you're doing the world a favor by being poor. There is no reason. There is no good reason to be poor. You can turn yourself around. That is the best thing that you can do. Go and be a broke person. You know, you're not poor anymore. You're just broke. If you're not going to turn yourself around, then die by yourself. Don't encourage other people to be poor with you. All right, don't do it. I mean, it will be the worst thing that you could ever do. And, you know, and then, you know, it will just spread like a cancer. You know, and if you don't want, and if you're broke and you don't want to be broke, and go and buy yourself tax deductible assets that you can appreciate knowledgeably. You've thought about it. Well, I can increase the return on my property by about 2% a year by appreciating the property via increasing the rent, or just by naturally increasing property values. If I make a monthly payment to the bank and I take a look at the amortization schedule, this is how much equity I am storing in my property via principal payments. You know, the property taxes are this, the interest on my loan is this, and the depreciation value of the building is this. And if I take a look at my tax returns and I see how much I owe the government in income tax, and that's that money that you pay to the government in income tax is also money that you could save with tax deductions, and you calculate those numbers out and you get yourself a, you know, a good idea. And then you determine that you can make about a 14% return on your money if you do it. And in reality, you're at risk for like $1,500 a month. Then go and do it. Then and then it's like, oh, well, you know, it's like I'm at risk for $1,500 a month. But if I just don't be an idiot and I really look through these things and I do well for myself, then I can essentially start making so much money that I could do effectively anything. On the entire planet, you could do anything. Then go and do it. All right, that's when you do it. All right, you don't just go, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna go on a mystical, magical adventure. I fell out of heaven at 7. Turns out that I'm a unicorn, and you know, if the world is not rainbows and butterflies for me, then everything is unfair, and I'm gonna throw a pissy fit and be a loser moron forever. All right, you know, if you're born with 100 IQ, you know, 99.999% of everybody born with 100 IQ has the capacity to do all of this. The only thing is that it's going to take a long time and you actually need to learn it correctly. All right, you know, that's the hard part. And if you know, and I was talking about this, and you know, I'm actually going to talk about my check tomorrow because, well, my animals came in 65 pounds light. All right, and so that's why, and I made a $2.25 on the average weight, and so $2.25 on the average pound, and my animals came in 65 pounds light. That's why my check was a little bit low. That's the long story short for the check. And you know, it's like if you take a look at what I'm doing, you know, make sure you're actually thinking about what's going on. All right, like when you take a look at my assets, when you take a look at what I'm doing, how much do you think it's worth? How much money do you think is involved? Don't be an idiot. All right, how much money do you think is involved? All right, it's about $2 million. All right, and you know, don't be an idiot, okay? I mean, you know, don't be an idiot, all right? I mean, legitimately think about it. How much money do you think is involved? It's about $2 million. All right, and I'm going over 10 million in the next 365 days. If you take a look at my numbers for what they are, and it's like, man, you know, the reason that I generated such a massive amount of money was because I legitimately had the capacity to do this. You know, that was kind of like my unique niche. Was that, you know, it's like me, it doesn't matter. It's like you could put me on a field in the middle of Central Texas by myself anywhere, and I will just start generating millions of dollars by myself. I don't even need, if I legitimately started with $0 tomorrow, lost all my assets, I could still make $1 million in 365 days. All right, and so, you know, this is exactly how I do it, right? I run my cattle this way. I buy these type of cattle. This is how I, you know, budget for what I'm going to pay per animal. This is what I feed them. This is how much I anticipate they put on every month, and this is the type of animals that I buy, etc., etc. All right, and you know, chances are, you know, it's like if you're watching this, you probably don't even understand that most people, you know, 99.99999% of the population of the USA effectively sucks so badly financially. Eventually, it sucks so badly that it doesn't matter what they do, they're not even going to get to the 10% mark ever. Then their entire, and especially not in farming. Don't make me laugh. If you want to become a cattleman, you're probably, the average cattleman does not even make it to the 10% mark. All right, legitimately cattlemen, not you know, Costco, you know, normal people. Legitimately cattlemen, farmers, most, you know, a majority, over 98%, 99% of all cattlemen on the entire planet don't even get to the 10% mark of what I'm doing. Not even 10%. All right, don't make me laugh. You're not going to become a farmer. If you legitimately want to become a farmer, it is going to be the hardest thing that you have ever done in your entire life. All right, if you're not going to work 15 hours a day for 15 years straight, you're not going to make it. The average person doesn't ever even get to the 10% mark their entire life. All right, so if you're going to be a poor idiot, then go and be a poor idiot by yourself. Or turn yourself around. You're not going to make it as a cattle farmer. I guarantee it. All right, and it's like, you know, but if you can, then go and prove me wrong. All right, I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to go and prove me wrong, then go and prove me wrong. All right, you know, I would happily shake your hand. Most people don't even get to the 10% mark their entire life. I make more money on 10.5 acres than most people make on 1,000. All right, and so, you know, it is just, the numbers are the numbers. And so that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.